Welcome to another episode of Bloom with Ansa. Today we are going to dive deep into the journey of an empowered American woman who has reclaimed her life, her femininity, and her purpose. My guest, Kelley Weinzetl, made some difficult choices in her early years. She became a mother at 19 and raised her daughter by herself for the next 12 years after separating from her husband. But instead of letting life's difficulties define Kelley, she embarked on a profound journey of self-discovery, healing, and transformation. Kelley turned inward. She connected with her faith at her rock bottom and healed for the next 1 decade from the toxic patterns of codependency. She went back to school and entered the corporate world where she stayed for 10 years and eventually stepping into her entrepreneurship journey, where she helps other women achieve balance in their personal and professional lives while embracing their fullest and most authentic selves. What inspires me most about Kelley is her conscious decision to prioritize her family life, especially in a world that pushes women in the workforce under the illusion that their only value is bringing the financial contribution to the family. Kelley is redefining success. She's proving that women are not just valuable, but thriving when they embrace their roles as nurturers, business owners, and leaders, all while embracing their natural rhythms. In our conversation, we will explore the reality of modern womanhood, the pressures of cancel culture, the misleading promises of capitalism, and the beauty of embracing all seasons of life, including motherhood. We will discuss how women can empower themselves financially without sacrificing their families and why setting healthy boundaries, particularly in professional spaces, is crucial for both personal and marital fulfillment. If you are a woman struggling to balance career aspirations with family life, if you have been conditioned to believe that success means sacrificing your time with your children, or if you simply want to hear a story of resilience, transformation, and faith, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Kelley, thank you so much for taking the time to have this powerful conversation with us. I'm super excited, and I would like to start with my signature question, which is, what is your definition of the word bloom?
Yeah, so I think that my definition of the word bloom would be stepping into the fullness of your design. So when a flower is blooming, the petals are opening, and each petal that opens shows a new layer or maybe a new gifting or a new set of beauty in that flower. And so I think that's the same for us. So when we're blooming, that's showing us another layer that we didn't know we had, or another petal of beauty that we didn't know was in there. And so as we bloom, we step into the fullness of who we were designed to be.
Beautiful. Thank you. So let's start with your journey, and our viewers already have an idea of your journey, but I want to get specifically into the questions of your journey to self-healing and empowerment, basically. So you spent a decade working on healing from toxic patterns and codependency. What were some of the pivotal moments in that journey that led you to redefine success for yourself?
Yeah, so there were a few pivotal moments for sure. And I'd say I feel like the biggest ones were like right in the beginning, when I was really stepping out of, okay, this is not the life I want to live anymore. I want to be different. Yes, I'm in pain, I'm hurting, but I want the Lord to use this for my good. And so to do that, I'm going to partner with Him and go all in. And so a big part of that, was setting firm boundaries with myself. So number one, I had to recognize, okay, what were those negative patterns that kept habitually happening? What cycles did I keep seeing in my life and that were negative that I wanted to stop, that were creating that toxic result? So, one of those was, not necessarily going for healthy men. And going for men, I didn't have like necessarily a healthy relationship with my father growing up. I grew up in a split family. So I lived in Washington State and my dad lived in California. So I only saw him every once in a while. And really, I only talked to him when I went to see him. So it was, what we would call a Disneyland dad. We only go to see him and play, and then we come home with mom. Mom does all the hard stuff while you just get to go visit and play with your dad. So that type of man was what I was modeled and saw as my father. And so that's the type of man I was drawn to. A fun guy that is great when you're with him, but then when you're not, it's nothing, or that person doesn't take responsibility, things like that. So, first off, I was like, okay, number one, I need to change the type of man I'm going for. And number two, in that, I'm going to not go for any man for an extended period of time so I can focus on myself. So I think staying single on purpose was absolutely a pivotal moment. And I have a couple right away moments after I became single where that was like tested. So right after I became single, I was distraught and a mess. But there was this attractive guy that I was working with as I was working as an X-ray student and at the hospital, and he presented himself to me to go play basketball. That's one thing that I do for fun was basketball. And I knew if I went to play basketball, I don't know, I just had a knowing, and I feel like it was from the Lord, that if I went to play basketball, for some reason, I would probably be in relationship with him and it would just be another start of another cycle. So, number one, thank goodness I was sick, so I couldn't do it. So I was a little helped out in the circumstance of my well-being, but I said no to that person and I did not go to play basketball, and so I didn't get in a relationship. And then about a month later, a person that I had previously dated years before everything, he was talking to me and again wanted me to go out and play basketball. And I really wanted to go because I really liked that person before I met my daughter's father. So I was like, gosh, I really want to go. But again, I just felt like this knowing that if I went, my story was going to be the same. And so I was like, I truly remember that moment of like, I so wanted to go, but I just knew that the Lord was telling me, do not go. And so thank goodness I listened and I didn't go. And so I feel like that really broke the cycle of going for the same person and then just repeating cycles of being with people that were unhealthy and toxic. Right there, like that was the first like disruption of that pattern and a pivotal moment. And then I think the second thing that was pivotal was I just threw myself all into the Lord. I would say that's probably number one, and the men number two. But I just remember I would just pray and pray and pray and pray, and I was broken. Number one, like my heart was broken, my identity was broken, everything was broken. But I knew that the Lord was faithful and He was good, and I didn't know Him very closely yet, but I wanted to, and I wanted to be the woman He designed me to be. So I seriously I would pray so long that my knees would hurt so bad to get up. I could barely walk. It was like, I would just spend so much time in prayer. If I wasn't studying for school, if I wasn't with my daughter, I was praying. And it was to the point, like the morning I was going to get baptized, my mom confronted me and she was like, I'm worried about you. I'm scared you're going to commit suicide. All you do is stay in your room. And I was just like, actually, Mom, I'm on the way to church to go get baptized. I'm good. And she was like, oh. And just because I was so just at the feet of Jesus, and I would just I just knew that no one could fix me except for Jesus, except for God. And so I literally would just go to my knees and bawl my eyes out for hours in prayer, and just knowing that he was going to, fix me or heal me, prepare a foundation so then I could grow and become the woman that I was designed to be in him. And so those two things, my love for the Lord, that is where that started. And I'm very gifted in prayer. And I feel like that foundation honestly was created in those moments. Now looking back, it was so painful, but really God just used that moment to like build that gifting in me. And so just giving my life to the Lord all in, and, not letting myself be distracted and not being sucked back into the cycles of being with unhealthy men. Those two things are hands down pivotal moments of creating success in the long term. So it's like, gosh, how does that connect? But truly, identity, you cannot be successful if you don't know your identity. And I feel like those two moments, those two pivotal things really allowed me to set the stage to find out my identity and grow it. And then that allowed me long term to create the success that I have now.
Really creating the boundaries and being disciplined to follow and have faith.
Yes.
Absolutely. That is a game changer. Thank you for sharing. So now coming to balancing family and entrepreneurship. You made the decision to work from home and prioritize your family while building a thriving business, right? So how has this choice impacted your productivity, well-being, and financial success?
Yeah, so it's been an adventure, that is for sure. So I'd say, anytime you're stepping away from what culture, especially, the Western culture of having that 9-to-5 job, husband and wife going to the 9-to-5, bringing home a paycheck. Anytime you're stepping away from that, I feel like there's this people around you kind of like, oh, be careful. And then even in myself, just like, whew, this is scary, but fun. So it's a thrilling ride for sure. But I'd say, as an entrepreneur and, wanting to be the mom and the wife that I was designed to be, it has been so life-giving. I've never felt better in my life. Our circumstances fully certain, our circumstances fully, everything's going to be just fine. To be honest, no. I was the breadwinner of my family when I was going to my job. So, I was bringing the bulk of the income, but I really felt like, in May of 2024, when I was talking to my boss at the time about coming back to work, in prayer, I just really felt like the Lord told me, you're going to be done at the end of the year. And I was already had it on my heart to start this coaching business and all of that. And so I was just like, I have no idea what it's going to look like financially or circumstantially, but I know that the Lord has told me December. And so I'm just going to risk it, go out on faith. And faith is spelled R-I-S-K, right? Risk. And, people talk about stepping out of the boat, walking on the water with the Lord. What does that look like? It's something fun to talk about, but when you actually do it, it's fun, but kind of scary. And, I just was like, okay, let's do this. Like, I feel like December is the word. And so that's how that decision was made, was I really felt like it was the Lord that told me, quit your job. So in December, I quit my job, and like I said, it has been so life-giving to me and my family. I think it also has given my husband an opportunity to grow his faith. He had a much calmer life growing up, and he didn't have to overcome the circumstances that I have in my life before we met. And so, I've built my faith. I have a pretty good faith muscle, because don't be, deceived. Faith is a muscle. And just like when we work out, we have to grow our muscles. It's the same with faith. We have to, by repetition, make choices that partner with the Lord to increase our faith, to grow our faith. And I've made many risky decisions and decisions all on faith because I was a single mom, but I just trusted in the Lord. And so now here I am, I'm married. I've been told I feel from the Lord December, and I'm the breadwinner, and my husband's like, oh my gosh, what? So, it's blessing our family because I'm still growing my faith. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, I don't have a worry in the world, but even when the worries come, I say, no to those. And I just keep my eyes on the Lord and just trust in his faithfulness and know that I've seen him be faithful in my life so many times. And so why would he leave me now? Why would he have brought me all this way to leave me now? That doesn't make sense. And that doesn't add up to who God is. And so, all of this to say, it has been life-giving. It is helping my family build our faith, helping my husband build his faith, and just trusting and pressing into the Lord like, okay, Lord, we don't know where the bills are going to be paid this month, but we're trusting in you. And he has been so faithful. Like, for example, for us, in January and February, my husband's business is usually slow because he inspects roofs. And so if there's snow or ice or the roof is wet, you can't go inspect it. Well, in January and February, he has been busier than any January or February we've ever seen. So his business has fully picked up. This last week, he had a record number of jobs. So it's, God has for sure come through and just shown us how faithful he is. And so it's just such a beautiful testimony. And with that being said, knowing that this was going to be a faith journey, I just was like, okay, we as a family are stepping out onto the water with Jesus. This is our whole family stepping out. And my daughter that's 17, she has even been, before I quit my job, she was like, Mom, I'm so scared, because she knows that, I was the breadwinner, and she's just like, I'm so scared you're going to quit your job. We're not going to have money. And I was just like, Jules, God is faithful. God is good. We don't have to have all the answers up front. We just get to know that God is good and he's faithful and he loves us, and he did not bring us this far to leave us. So, stepping into entrepreneurship and having my family, it's been breathing life into us. It is building faith in all of us. Obviously, Rhodes is just one, so he doesn't have to have his faith built yet. But the three of us, our faith is getting, that muscle's being built. And I think it's such a beautiful testimony for my daughter to watch her parents risk it all. Because we can tell our kids all the time, have faith in the Lord. God is faithful. But if we stay comfortable in our little box of going to our job, or, whatever that is for you, whatever you feel is your box of safety, if we don't ever step out and show our children this is what it looks like to lay it all on the line and go all in for the Lord and follow be obedient in what he's asked us to do, and just have faith that he's going to show up, why would they ever do it themselves? And so I want my daughter to be, out there in the kingdom, shaking things up, risking, having faith. And if I don't emulate that, she would never do it. And she's a bold girl. And so it's just been a beautiful thing to be able to show that. And then it's just the freedom. Yes, I am very busy. I'm not just like laying on the couch, eating bonbons and watching TV. We are after it all day. I'm still working out. I actually have time to food prep and make sure that all of our meals are good and healthy and not just easy, quick stuff. Although my husband would probably say you could cook a little more. He cooks in our family too. So we trade off a little bit, but he is, I would say, a much better cook than myself. But that's been fun. And then just getting to really grow my business, work my business around my family. Like, for
Hmm.
example, my son, I just put him down for a nap, and now here I am.
Yeah.
So during nap times, that's work time. So honestly, if I'm going to work out, like exercise or do chores or do anything like that, I only do that when he's awake. So
Hmm.
that when he's sleeping, I can be after my work, whether that's be on a podcast, be on a coaching call, uh, you know, updating my social media, doing a blog post, whatever it might be. I save all of that for when he is asleep. So then I can be number one, present for him when he's awake, but then also do all the other things, right? Because we still have to take care of our house. We still have to do the chores, and every day is not perfect. And I think the key to that side of it, because everyone says, how do you balance it? I would say let go of balance.
Hmm.
Forget balance. There is no balance. There is just have a game plan. And then when it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, that's okay because no one is perfect. And just allowing imperfect actions to happen is fine. Allow if the day goes to heck and chaos happens, just go with the flow and be okay with it. Don't worry about having your day be perfect and just fit your work into the little nooks and crannies of the day that you have. And that's what makes the day successful.
Beautiful. What a beautiful, honest advice, because we, most of the time, we lose sight of the actual priorities in our life just because we are trying to balance our day. We have this term, coined as have a balanced day. It's not possible. It's not humanly possible.
No, no.
Wonderful. Alrighty. So my next question is breaking free from capitalist conditioning, right? So many women are told that to be valuable, they must work outside home and bringing in a paycheck. What do you say to those women who feel pressure to conform to this modern expectation?
Yeah, I would say that might be good for somebody else, but if that is not your heart, then that's okay.
Hmm.
And you're responsible, the only person responsible for your family's health, your family's well being, is you and your husband. So, that conversation of if you need to be at a job, honestly, is nobody else's business. So, if someone's trying to put pressure on you, whether that's an in-law or, even your parents or somebody else, they just need to be politely told, thank you for that advice, but we're going to do what's best for our family. So that could look like so many different things too. It could look like mom staying home and getting the opportunity to just invest every ounce of her into her kids and her husband and her home. And that's a beautiful picture. It could look like my situation where, I want to do those things, but I also have it on my heart to have a business. And that's just part of my nature and my design. And we're all designed differently. And so we're all purpose to do life differently. So for me to feel fulfilled and satisfied as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, as a child of God, I need, yes, this part to be home with my family, but also to get to, uh, you know, put my passion and my drive and my desire into that business as well to impact and bless the women that are meant to be impacted and blessed by my life and by the Lord working through me. And those women that do feel like, hey, I want to be mom and take care of the home and go to work, that's a beautiful thing too. I think that anyone that tries to have a negative view on any path is closed-minded and probably selfish because everyone is different and everyone's situation is different. But speaking directly to the woman that's like, gosh, I just want to stay home and love my kids and bless my kids, bless my husband and be home. I think that that is a beautiful thing. I feel like that is something that is against culture and against, society of where we're moving towards and we are at of, everyone needs to be working, everyone needs to be bringing home a paycheck. But I think too, everyone sees, or maybe not everyone, but the overarching view of bringing home a paycheck is going to a job.
Mm,
And I don't think it has to be that way. So if both mom and dad need to bring a paycheck home, get creative. And what is the passion in you that's lights you on fire? Because I bet you anything that you can figure out some way to do that from home and to bless the world through that outlet from home. And I feel like that's something too that maybe needs a different perspective of what I'm doing isn't just a job. I don't have to coach. I don't have to bring a paycheck in. I get to. I have the freedom, especially, in my country, and not every person has that freedom in their country. But I have the privilege, I have the freedom to stay at home, but also have a coaching business, but also bring money home to bless my family and also take some pressure off of my husband and be a team. And that's what marriage is we are a team. It's not just one person. We are a team. And so that can look like so many different things in so many different seasons of life. But for the woman that does want to stay home, you go, girl. You step into that and you do it. And if that's what's, between you and your husband, or even if you're single and you're a mom, if that's what's best for your family and you guys can make it work that way, do it. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to go ship your kids off to daycare to spend most of their day with a stranger that gets to watch them grow and develop while you go to work. When your heart is to stay home, where there is a will, I fully believe there is a way. You just have to be brave enough to figure it out and see what that way is, and then bold enough to follow it through. It's one thing to think about it and one thing to see, okay, I could do this, but it's a whole nother thing to be disciplined, consistent, bold, and see it through. But I think it's a beautiful thing. Capitalism, it is a beautiful thing. It gives us the freedom to, start at my own business on a whim and go after it. But I think too that it definitely it's like a ditch, right? Some people get in one ditch where it's like, oh, everyone has to work because we're in a capitalistic society. Or there's the other ditch where, well, I only want you to stay home and you don't get to do anything but stay home. So you don't need to be in one side or the other. There can be a middle ground where it's both and, where I get to be expressed through my gifts as a businesswoman, as a coach, impacting women, reaching out and uplifting people, letting the Lord work through me, but then also loving and nurturing and being there for my family and getting to see my kids grow up because am their mama and I want the gift of being right here. It's a privilege to be able to have a job, but it is absolutely a privilege to be their mama. That was my gift. The Lord picked me out of everyone in this world to be that baby's mama. And I don't want to give any precious moment up more than I have to. And so I think that it's a beautiful thing to, stay home, be the mama, the wife that you feel called to be. And if you're also feeling called to do that and run a business or even do a job at home where it fits. I think those are beautiful things. I think that the idea that you have to go to a job is honestly dead. And I feel like that there is a shift in society of that there are more people realizing, no, I don't have to do that. And I think it needs to be talked about more.
Mm,
Because I feel like when you do make that decision, there are so many people that are afraid to do it themselves. And so they'd rather tear you down and tell you how that's not going to work and fill you with fear and doubt because they are filled with fear and doubt themselves. And that's why they still go to their job. And so I just say, have boundaries when those people come into your life and what they're saying doesn't align with what you're doing, if what you're doing is, of course, what's best for your family and aligned with the Lord, then I'd say that's a clear sign that that needs to have a stronger boundary between that person. And doesn't mean you don't love them or bless them, but it does mean that I bless you and I release you. I
mm.
bless and release you to go, and I'm not going to allow you to bring that negativity or that doubt or those worries into my life. I have enough of my own to combat. I don't need yours in there too.
This is such a healthy approach to living a beautiful life, as you said, right? You don't want to put a tag or label anything as negative or really bad or nobody should do it, but you pick your own road, you pick your own path and go on with the choices that you as a family made, right?
Yes.
Whether you have a family or you are a single mom or you are the head of the household and making all the decisions, but you should know what your priorities are, where your heart is, and as Kelley said, where there is a will, there is a way. So try to follow that and strengthen your connection with God in your faith. That's excellent. So now coming to, I really wanted to explore this setting boundaries for a healthy marriage and career, right? So you have been intentional about creating boundaries in your work, coaching only women to maintain a healthy dynamic in your marriage. So tell me how important it is for women to set boundaries in their professional and personal lives, and how has this choice benefited your relationship?
Yeah, so I would say having healthy boundaries between, who I'm working with and even when I'm working
Mm.
is hands down top three key to having a healthy marriage. So it's if I'm going to have a business and work this business, but I'm not honoring my husband, that doesn't align. And that doesn't align with having a healthier family because to stay home, it is obviously something that I want to do and something that blesses me and also blesses my children and my husband, but it won't bless my husband if I'm not having boundaries in both time and how or who. So, things like realistically is that I do, like you said, is I only work with women. And, number one, I work with women because my coaching business is coming alongside women and helping them do what I've done, helping them get out of survival mode and into thriving and be the mom that they want to be. And so I can't really, I don't feel like I would have much to help a man because I'm not a man and I haven't lived a man's life or the role. And so it just doesn't align with the what I want my coaching to be. And I'm not honestly comfortable talking closely with a man. And then number two, that's not my husband. And then number two, I want to honor my husband in who I'm working with. My husband is trusting me to stay home. And so I think this, honestly is a good spot to talk about too. Like sometimes I think that probably husbands have a worry, well, my wife's staying at home while I go to work. What's she doing all day? Is she, when I leave, is someone else coming over? I think everyone's heard of the stories of where unfortunately lust has happened
Yes.
and the enemy, in my opinion, has come in to destroy a family, and that's the outlet he's used. And so I don't want my husband to ever worry about what I'm doing, who I'm talking to, if he can trust me, if I'm keeping our marriage intimacy, just me and him? Am I protecting our sanctity of our marriage?
Mm.
And I want him to be able to be confident and know that his wife is his wife. And I don't want him to ever doubt that, whether that's in my business or outside of my business, whether that's me staying at home or going to work. Because I guess you could say that too, like whether you stay home or whether you go to a job, because you've heard that story too. Wife goes to a job, connects with a man at the workplace where she spends most of her time. And unfortunately, an affair happens there. So I just don't want my husband to ever feel shaky in his confidence that I am his wife and his wife alone, that I am saving my intimacy connection with him and no one else. And I think that the enemy would love nothing more than someone to poke open that door or get a little toe in the door to allow him to come on in and create doubt in a marriage, or even come on in and totally destroy it. But he would be fully satisfied with just a little seed of doubt in the husband by working with the man. And so I do not work with men. I don't feel it's appropriate in specifically my job. You know, if I was working a different business that maybe allowed or made sense to be working with a man, I think that I would have firm boundaries and I would invite my husband into all of those conversations so that he was confident knowing that that was not nothing fishy was going on. But for me personally, I don't want to be working with men. I want to work with women only so that my husband feels confident in me. And I think that him knowing that too blesses him. Like, oh my gosh, my wife loves me so much that she's going to say no to even any sort of income that could possibly come from working with a man in the sense of, who knows, being a coaching client or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that money is not worth my marriage. My
Mm.
marriage is higher than money. If you earn all the money in the world and then your marriage fails, what was it for? And I think that goes into also why most women want to stay home and do a job or a business. They want to do that to, of course, express that part of themselves, but also to bless their family, to bless their kids, to bless their husband. And so, okay, great, that's your why, but now you've put money above your family, and so now your family is falling apart. And what was the point of all of that? But to take it back to the point of men working with men and having that boundary, I just feel that when you're a married woman, it's, I feel like that is one of the top things in your marriage that you need to have is the understanding that you're not single. You can't just be friends with any man or have close relationship with any man. That's not fair to your husband. How would you feel if your husband was working closely with women and having hour-long sessions with women and it's just them in a room on a computer or who knows what emotional connection they're creating? I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a jealous woman, but I am a territorial woman. And so that is my husband, and I am not sharing him with anyone. And so I want to honor him in the same way. He doesn't want to share me with any man. And so the only man he wants to share me with is Jesus. So that's it. That's the only man. And so I think that you do yourself a favor, you do your husband a favor, and your marriage a favor when you decide to have firm boundaries and you don't allow the enemy that opportunity into your marriage by having working closely with men unless your husband is with you or, in partnership with you in that decision.
Wow. I love how clear you are on everything that you want in your life or you don't want in your life. And that's your personal choice, right? But I love the clarity of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like That is part of success
Hmm.
is being clear. And I think that that's all rooted in that first step of identity. Because I know who I am as a woman in Christ. I know who I am in that identity as being a daughter of Christ. I know who I want to be as a mom. I know who I want to be as a wife. I know who I want to be as a businesswoman. I know who I want to be as a woman. And, you could have all sorts of different categories, but those four main categories, I know who I need to be, who I want to be, who I
Hmm.
want my identity to be. And the beautiful thing is, if you don't know your identity, whether you are 25, 45, 55, 65, it does not matter. You have the opportunity to rewrite your story today. You just have to start the journey.
Exactly. And don't give in to the peer pressure or the system, that tells you the things that you sometimes want to, align yourself with, even though your heart is not there. You just want to, move along with the wave. Just stay true to yourself, stay true to your faith, and
Yeah.
really define who you want to be.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I feel like that word alignment is just so crucial.
Mm,
Because then once you find your identity, then really it makes life decisions a little bit easier, I feel, because then you're going back to, well, does that align with my identity? Does that choice align with my identity? Now, with all this being said, I am 0% perfect. I am an imperfect human, and that is a beautiful thing. God did not make us robots. So, not one person is perfect. Not one person's journey is perfect. Even once they're like, oh, I'm going to find my identity and I'm going to have boundaries and all of this. Yes, that's beautiful. But just remember, we are imperfect humans and you're going to mess up. And when you mess up, you deal with it. You
mm.
clean up your mess, you learn from it, you repent from it, and then you move forward. And hopefully, when that comes up again in your life, you don't do that again. You choose something that aligns with your identity.
Absolutely. And moving on to the next question, which I'm super excited about hearing your thoughts on, embracing the seasons of life and motherhood, right? So
Yeah.
many women struggle with accepting motherhood as a natural phase of life and feel pressure to return to work immediately, right? What advice do you have for women who feel they are missing out on their careers, but they also want to embrace this season of nurturing and raising their children?
Yeah, that is so beautiful and it's a very real thing for me right now, especially, my son is one. I nursed him for the whole first year, and this is day two of weaning him off nursing. So it's it's a journey for sure. But I would say, the seasons of motherhood, they're all very different. And each one is demanding of you. There's no way around it. And the demand is different in each season. I think that, I have a 1 year old and I have a 17-year-old. So my 17-year-old, she's going to be 18 in September. So I'm really getting close to finishing off my parenting with her, which is wild. And then obviously I have my 1 year old. So I'm starting at the beginning again. And so it really gives me a beautiful perspective of all the different seasons of parenthood or of motherhood. And right now with my daughter, I would say it's the least amount of demand of full attention, but there are things that she still needs. She still needs her mom's comfort when she's out there making decisions that are practice for the adult world that she's about to step into. And when maybe something doesn't go her way or the way she thought it would go, she still needs my comfort quite often. And so, whereas my son, he needs me like all the time, 24/7. And so it's just very different seasons. And I think that I feel like when, especially like women that are like, gosh, I want this career. there's this resistance to like fully embracing motherhood. And I would say, even in your career, it is not going to make your career suffer to embrace motherhood. So I would encourage any woman that's like in this tension of being a mother, a new mother, and wanting a career to embrace both. Don't have this like hand out, like not wanting to fully embrace being that mom that you really do want to be. It's in there, whether you want to admit it or not. And you more so want to embrace that career. I would say to fully feel satisfied in what you're doing, you have to just humbly embrace both. And what does that look like? Just knowing that when you're at home with your children, being fully present, and when you're exhausted getting up and you're exhausted from doing X, Y, and Z, just remind yourself this is just a season. These moments are precious. And again, going to my story, my 17-year-old, I just think about when she was one. And when I was going through that phase of life, it just felt kind of slow. And even though I knew it was going to go by fast, it did feel slow in some respect and felt like, gosh, I can't wait till I can sleep all night. I can't wait till I don't have to, give of my body and nurse or, things like that. I can't wait till, and now she's 17. I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby is growing up and I just miss my days and you don't get them back. And I think that's a key. It's so easy to be like, okay, this is the next goal. This is where I'm going. And I'm all about goals. I'm all about dreams. I'm all about going after it. But you can't get so focused on that and caught up in it to then take away from these precious gifts, these precious moments of when they're so small. They're so little. They need everything from their mama. They need all of you. And to just give in and lean into that season of giving it all and then go and do your career. And then when you come home, give it all. And when you got to go back, go back. And that way you still are, getting that expression, getting the joy of doing your career, but then you're also fully satisfied at home. And I feel like if you're not embracing and giving all and leaning into that motherhood and those precious moments, number one, that's going to steal your joy in the end because then you're going to feel guilty. But when you come home and you lean into motherhood and you lean into what that season looks like, whatever, wherever you are on the spectrum of being a mom, and you're giving all that you can there, when you go to work, you're not going to feel guilty. You're going to feel like, man, this is awesome. I'm providing for my family. I'm feeling overjoyed about what my home is like. Your kids are going to be happier, which is going to make you happier. Your husband's going to be happier. And that's going to translate to your work. It's going to make you more passionate, more energized, more focused at work because then you're not worried. You're not feeling guilty for being at work or wanting to be at work. And I think that that is a real thing that the women that do want to go to work, that is fine. But I feel like they definitely probably have this guilt of, well, I want to go to work, and that makes me feel guilty for not wanting to stay home. And that's okay. I would just say that when you're home, be present, be leaning into that moment, and especially for those moments when they're young. Those babies just need us, and it really changes their biochemistry when it
Mm.
comes to the science of how babies are built and the first 5 years, their relationship with their mom and their connection with mom, that changes their biochemistry. That changes their mental ability, the way they learn, how quick they learn, their comprehension, their health, who they will be as adults. All of that is changed in those first 5 years and the connection they have with mama. And mamas, if you're not at home letting them just have all that they need, especially when you're going to your job, just remember that is going to impact them for the rest of their lives. And so just I implore those mothers to just allow themselves to just give in.
Yes.
Don't resist. Just give in. It's going to be better in the long run. And it is a season that will go by in a second. And you'll be like, oh my gosh. And then you'll have the rest of your life to be like
Mm,
all all in and no distractions because your kids won't be there anymore. And so parenthood is just a season. It's a long season, it feels, but once it's over, it's over. And then you get to just do selfishly whatever you want. And that's a beautiful thing too. So,
mm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I can echo everything that you said because my son, he's going to be 21 now, and it
oh
feels
gosh.
like he doesn't need me for anything at all, right? Instead, he's taking care of me at times.
Oh, that's cute. Yes, I love
Yeah.
that.
So I also want to mention, everyone listening that now, after listening to everything that you have explained beautifully in all those respects of, different phases of life and different aspects of your life, we understand that how setting boundaries, for example, if you're working, and you have office where you go every day 9 to 5, don't bring your work home, because when you are home, that time is for your family and for your kids. So fully enjoy and invest in that time, just like you're investing your day, in your work, very faithfully. So I love that advice, and everything that you mentioned, you make a great coach, Kelley, I would say. So
Thank
now
you.
I want to give people an idea of the work that you do and how you are changing women's life who are struggling to find that balance between their work life and personal life, and trying to live a healthier life where they want to embrace themselves fully and yet work.
Yes, yes, I'd love to talk about that. So, coaching with me is, I feel like it's a beautiful just encouragement piece that comes on your side. So, it's not like coach with the whistle that's making you run lines at practice, things like that. It's not stern or firm or anything like that. It is, I feel like a nurturing, encouraging piece that comes alongside women. So, and what I mean by that is when someone wants to work with me in coaching, first off, we discuss like what is it that we want to accomplish? Like what's going on in life and where do you want to see the increase? Where do you want to see the change? And then to be fully honest, I find that, people do want the change. They do want to work on the goals, but where it really there's a fine line of people that actually want to do the work.
Hmm.
And that's where, when I have conversations with people before we even get started, is okay, these are beautiful goals, and this is a beautiful change that we want to see in your life, and we can do it. But before we get to coaching, are you going to be consistent?
Hmm.
Are you going to be disciplined? Are you going to choose to actually do it? And because I feel like that is where people get stuck, is they get stuck in this is the change I want to see. I know how to get there, but I don't do it. I
Hmm.
don't ever do it. And I don't ever follow through. And if someone is not ready to be like, man, I'm finally ready to make these changes, to see this impact, to oh, create this new alignment in my life, but they're not going to be all in on the action, that's probably not a good fit in coaching. And so I really do have that very candid discussion. Like, this is only going to be a fit to work with me if you are going to be all in and you are going to, it doesn't matter what it feels like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm going to be all in on this coaching because otherwise, it's going to be like any other time. It's you're not going to see the change. So that's the starting point. But I think too, just like the very beginning is all about foundation. I would not be where I am today if I did not dig into my identity and figure out who I wanted Kelley to be.
Mm,
And so it's really digging into someone's foundation of identity. And a lot of people, or some people, may have already done that. So it's just like shorter time spent on that. But honestly, I find that most of this world does not do that.
mm,
They just kind of go through life and whatever happens, happens. And we're just subject to circumstance, or my life is the way it is because of XYZ, or because I was born to this family, or because this happened to me. And that's not the truth. That's what society probably would like us to think, but that's really a victim mindset and allowing the power to be given to the world and giving away your power. So we really work on our identity and going through all these disempowering and limiting beliefs and just truly like realizing that, oh my goodness, I can be whoever I want to be. And I can write my story. If I want my story to be XYZ, I can make it that way. I just have to choose. And then every choice moving forward has to be in alignment with who I've said I'm going to be, and then do the work. So massive action and not being paralyzed and coaching people through that. No one's perfect and no one goes through coaching perfect, but it's embracing the, again, being imperfect humans and just knowing that our journey won't be perfect together,
yeah.
but we're going to imperfectly keep you on the right trajectory so we still get there.
Mm,
And we don't give up because, oh shoot, I missed this step, or I did this, or I didn't do this, or whatever, fill in the blank, but that people just know that whatever journey we're on together, we're going to get there, whether it's perfect or not. And let me tell you, it's never going to be perfect. It will be imperfect. It's just about not giving up. And I'm just there encouraging them. Logistically, what that looks like is usually I have a conversation every week with them. I find that, whether that's through a Zoom call like this, or it's just on the phone, or, depending on where they are in the world, maybe it's through WhatsApp or something along those lines.
right.
And just having that connection, I feel like this world, especially after the pandemic of COVID-19, there is such a disconnection, and people are hungry for connection.
Yes.
And so I feel like if we don't have a actual phone call, whether that's talking or we see each other, that connection piece is that it's missing.
Yes.
And to see results, you have to have connection. So, and I truly want to see women just empowered and living their full life, the full design, the fullness of that. And I feel like to really have that connection and that um caring relationship that is required, because that's vulnerable. Coaching's vulnerable. We're going to be talking about some nitty-gritty stuff and getting in the trenches together. And so I want to them to know me and feel that they can trust me and that I am on their team, and that I care for them, because I absolutely do. And so I need to have that connection of talking to them. So, we have a call every week. And on top of that, it increases your accountability.
Yes.
So when it comes to following through, taking action, knowing that you've got to talk to me once a week is like, ooh, I better do XYZ because I said I was going to. I know in my goals, when I have to check in with my accountability people, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to be coming to that meeting saying, oh, I didn't do it. Because
Yeah.
then they're, well, why? Because I didn't manage my time right, or
Mm,
everyone has time.
yeah.
So the thought that you don't have time, that's just an ingrained thought process from society. We all have time. It's all just priorities, prioritizing your time and actually doing it.
Yes.
And so there's that. And then we are able to connect every single day through an app that's free. It's called Voxer. And so that way people can talk to me throughout the day if they want to. I can reach out to them through the week and encourage them so that while they're on there out doing the work, I am their biggest cheerleader in their pocket on their phone. They have that encouragement, so they're not just in the thick of it and like, oh, I'm stuck, I'm paralyzed. And then I get to inject some encouragement and motivation and just, you can do it. Don't stop. Who cares if it's hard? Who cares if it's this? We're getting here and you can do it. You're made for it, you're designed for it, and we're gonna do it together. So that's kind of what it looks like to work with me. And I've worked with women in all different types of goals and objectives. So it really doesn't matter. It's just what is true, what is near and dear to that woman's heart of what she wants to achieve, whether it's something simple as finding her identity, creating her story, or it's, one gal is wanting to start her own ministry, or, preparing yourself for birth. Into that, for my first child, I had an epidural and I went to an MD and went through that route. And then with my son, I went to a midwife and I wanted to have a natural birth and I did that. And so, coaching women through that, or, it could look like so many different things. It's just what is on that woman's heart, and then we go after it.
That's powerful. And how can these women reach out to you to book a call with you and explore more options, how they can work with you?
Yes. So number one is my Instagram, which my handle is at dare underscore the number two underscore roar. So you can message me on there, or you could go to my website, which is daretoroar.com. And again, it's the number two. And on there, there's a little let's connect, and you can click that. You can schedule a call on my Instagram. You can DM me and we can book a call that way. So those are the two best ways to get in connection with me.
Thank you for sharing that. And at the end, what is one actionable tip you would like to leave our listeners with?
Yes. So I would say my biggest tip for you is if you know you want to go after something, do it. There's so many times that we get all caught up in how to do it, in XYZ, one, two, three, ABC, all the steps, and then we don't do anything. Train yourself to not negotiate with yourself and say tomorrow, 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 because tomorrow will never come. All you have is today. So do yourself a favor and go after it. Just go do it. Do something. It can be something small, it can be something big, but just go do something. Do not let the day end without doing something that moves forward towards the goal. And it will create momentum and you will get there. But you have to do something. If we just sit here and learn, that's wonderful, but it doesn't get us there. We can't learn our way to the goal. We have to do it. We have to move it. So get in massive action. Go do something today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Kelley, for this powerful advice. And with this, we end our conversation here. It was so powerful, and I loved our time together. So, thank you so much, viewers, for staying with us for this long. And if you already haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And I will see you in the next one.